All right, my name is Rhonda Whitaker. I am the president of the club. I just proved it.
Yay.
Now I would like to introduce our lovely Toastmaster of the evening, Mrs. Diane Denholm.
Good evening, everyone. Toastmasters, guests, and our viewers at home. Role as the Toastmaster is I'm the hostess for the evening. I'll make sure everything runs on time and smoothly. I'll introduce the roles. And good thing the odd counter hasn't come up. We do have a theme tonight, and it's inspiring lives. And there's a wonderful quote on the agenda from Nelson Mandela. I'm going to get right into it and introduce the roles. The first role this evening is our timer, Art Atkinson. Would you please report to us, Art Atkinson?
In my role as timer, I'm responsible for noting the time of everyone who speaks tonight and inaugurating clapping if the speaker has gone more than 30 seconds over time limit in order to help us keep this meeting on schedule. And you may join me in such clapping. Please do. Table topics are 1 to 2 minute speeches. Please come in. The green light is turned on at 1 minute, the yellow light at 1 minute 30 seconds, and the red light, green at 1, yellow at 1 minute 30, red at 2 minutes, and it will remain on until the end of the speech. Thumbs up. It will stay on. At 30 seconds past time, I will start clapping if need be. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. I don't have a copy of tonight's agenda to see how long the one speech will be.
5 to 7.
Very good. Then it will be green at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7, and remain on until the end of the speech. Evaluations are 3 minutes in length. Green light is turned on at 2, yellow at 2 minutes 30, red at 3 minutes, and remain on until the end of the speech. And I'll give a brief report at the end of the meeting.
We have our wonderful odd counter, Jeff Shipley. Would you give your report, please?
Thanks, Diane. Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I'll be fulfilling the role of odd counter, which means I'll be keeping track of filler words for all our speakers throughout the evening. Filler words include like, you know, so, but, and tongue clicks or awkward noises that come from the mouth, pauses, repeats, and false starts, and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'm honored to introduce Carol Negro, who's taking her first role as grammarian. So welcome, Carol.
And the word of the evening is captivate. And as I looked at the dictionary, there were many usages of that word, but the ones I chose were engage, enliven, and invigorate. And the sentence I used was, words have the gift of being able to captivate their audience. And as I listen to tonight's speeches, I will listen to how people use that word and how people use their gifts in the language and the way that they express themselves to other people, how they choose to invigorate and engage the people that's talking to.
Great. Thank you. We'll hear from our general evaluator later on in the evening. That'll be Rick Starr this evening. We will also, we were greeted so wonderfully and warmly by Mahesh. Thank you. He was welcoming, humorous, delightful, and then he'll give us a joke later, which I'll look forward to. And our ballot leader counter is Dan Craig. If you have your leadership manuals, pass them to, or maybe that's your job to describe that. Please describe your role. Sorry about that.
If you have your leadership manual, you're doing a role that you need credit for, make sure that you found an evaluator to fill out your manual. Does anybody need an evaluator still in that case? And then as VP of Ed, I thought I'd mention that in January, we have a lot of speaking slots. So come and see me. Thank you.
Great. We're running right on time. This is great. So we'll begin now this section. Lots of times we call it appetizers here. I'm being waved at.
Turn these off.
Oh, please turn off your cell phones. And what do they say sometimes? It shows in anything else it goes beep in the night or something like that. Thank you. The appetizer, the table topics section. We have plenty of time for this. We might even have part 2. Just depends how life goes for Seth. He's at a concert for his child this morning over at the elementary school. She has a solo. I think she's got 3 lines, so it's very important. Adorable child. I'd like to introduce the first table topic master, and that's Surya Zeev. Please come on up, Surya.
All right, and for table topics, I'd like to invite one of you to volunteer first, and I will give you the topic of your speech when you're up here. So, who would like to volunteer?
All right, Stephen.
Go! Pick a number from 1 to 6. 6. Tell us about your most inspiring memory. Thank you. I don't know if I can remember it. I'm going to have to take that 30 seconds, excuse me, because I'm a complete blank. I can't remember a thing right this second. Most inspiring memory. Oh boy.
Vivian's birth, you're talking in your timing. Vivian's birth.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Sally. Sally just reminded me of my daughter's birth. Wow, what an inspiring memory that was. Actually, I would have to put her whole life as my most inspiring memory. How many people would put the lives of their children as their most inspiring memories? Almost everybody, even if you don't have children. Why is that? Why do we fall so in love with children, with babies, with innocence itself? Does that innocence remind us of our own innocence? Innocence is the way, has been said by great teachers. Except you become as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. There's something so delicious, so loving, so tender about that innocence that is embodied in the helpless child who is completely dependent on love and generosity and giving for survival. And they do. They survive with love. How many people remember their childhood as being the best times of their lives? I mean, especially their infancy. Well, maybe not everybody, but I sure did. And I know a lot of you do too. So, I just have to say that experience of having a child has been the most heart-opening experience of my life, bar none. And I wish that for every person on earth. I remember taking her home and laying down on the couch and with her sleeping on my chest. She fit from between about here and here. And she was totally asleep. And that was the day she was born, and we brought her home from the hospital. And I was taking care of her. And just so filled with joy. It just made me so incredibly happy. And even though she hasn't always been an ideal kid and behaved exactly as I wished, I can't say that I have ever enjoyed anything or anyone or any memory of anything so much as a memory of my daughter, Vivian.
else dare to come up here?
Cindy.
Cindy, please. Again, a number from 1 to 5.
5.
The most inspiring talk or speech you've ever heard. Tell us about it. How did it inspire you?
One of the most inspiring speeches I can remember was given by a young man in prison. Tom and I mentored a Toastmasters club in the Fort Madison Penitentiary, the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison. And this was the first time I had been exposed to anything like this. I'd never been inside of a jail, not even to visit anybody. And when the Toastmasters Club there meets in the basement level of the chapel, which is inside, in the middle of the yard in a building. So you have to go all the way through some part of the building, across the yard, and then into this other building where the chapel is. And this young man, it was his icebreaker speech. And he talked about why he was there. And at one point I remember I had tears running down my face because he totally took responsibility for what had happened. And he wanted to make amends. And his joining Toastmasters was part of that, being able to gain the ability to talk and to be able to structure his speech so when he went in front of the parole board that he could really represent himself properly and hope for the best outcome. I was totally floored by his fluency, and even though he said he never got his GED and never graduated from high school, he had a lot of heart in his speech, and that really spoke to my heart. And that was the most rewarding speech. Although I've heard a lot of heartfelt speeches here, but that was the first that really spoke to my heart. Mr. Tabletop is next.
Okay. Do we have another volunteer?
We may, I'll take one.
Oh,
Yay!
okay. Say number from 1 to 4.
3.
Your most inspiring movie. Please tell us about it.
Inspiring movie.
Yeah.
Most inspiring movie, that's an easy tale to tell. And it was a film called A Time to Kill. And it was about the civil rights movement. And it was about a man defending somebody that whose daughter had been raped and completely abused by some drunken teenagers on the road. And they had raped this girl, they had abused her, they'd beaten her, and they had robbed her of something that she would never have again in her life, which was innocence, the ability to have children, the ability to love without hurt or pain, and her father felt all those things. And I think that her father tried to contain himself and tried to understand the pain and felt the compassion, but he knew inside that he had anger that was not going to be able to be controlled. And when the two gentlemen that had committed the crime had been arrested and people figured out who they were, they took them to jail, and the man, the father, laid in waiting at their trial, and he had previously spoken to an attorney and saying, if I do something that's illegal, will you defend me?
Ha!
He was very much, you know, he knew what was going to happen, and what happened was he, when the time came and those guys were coming to trial, the guy pulled out a gun and he shot and killed the two men that had committed the atrocities to his kids. And that's what happened, and the movie goes from there, but it was a marked movie in my life.
Okay, we have time for more, right?
One more.
One more?
You can sit there.
Okay.
Here.
Who else would like to come up
Okay.
here?
Stop.
Stop?
Up there.
All right, thank you for having me.
You gotta find out who counts.
Oh, yes, we need to vote now for the best table topics. And Art, please let us know who, wait,
Steve and Cindy qualified.
thank you, qualified.
That'd be Steve Harper and Cindy Trainer qualified.
Good, thank you. So please- Okay, now I'd like to introduce and invite up here Dan Craig, the table topics evaluator.
Yo!
Okay.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, that was an enjoyable table topics. It went by very quickly. We had 3 excellent speakers. Stephen Harper started us off. Very nice effort. He captivated us with genuine emotion. He started with humor, something about a senior moment. He couldn't remember his favorite memory. A short time later, he used a rhetorical question, a number of excellent techniques to bring connection with the audience. I noticed that he had really great eye contact. He looked around the room slowly. Each person was drawn in to share the topic with him. Good natural gestures. I think the only suggestion I could have is really a pretty small one. I thought there was a little bit of a tendency to pace. It's small because it actually looked pretty smooth. But that's something. Second was Cindy. Again, this was a very sweet kind of table topic in bringing out real emotion. We really did feel the emotion that Cindy had in recalling that experience of seeing this convict give his icebreaker speech in prison. I noticed some really nice pauses. That's very effective in letting the points sink in for us before she moves on. I thought the descriptions were very vivid. My only suggestion for Cindy was, again, use of stage thing. I would just say, if you're going to come out front, you might as well go here. It just sort of seems a little unbalanced to stay there. And last was Carol. Congratulations, this may be your first table topics, but good for you.
Yo!
I think a lot of us find that standing up without any script is really hard to do, so excellent courage there. She did a good job of explaining her movie that had inspired her. I like that she began by saying, this is an easy tale to tell. Just gave us sort of a feeling of confidence that we were going to hear something that connected with her. I think the only suggestion I've got for you, Carol, and this is pretty minor again, because you've got projects to do and you'll learn all these techniques. But I would just say, in general, when you're standing, it's better not to have hands in the pockets. It just kind of stands out. But that didn't last long. You did start to use some gestures, and all in all, just excellent. I will turn it back over to the Toastmaster.
Yo!
Two super quick tips, because we always have new members rotating in. And that is when you shake hands with someone and they've come from that way, rather than crossing over, you just go the way, you just don't walk in the back of the person speaking.
Or in front.
Or in front, yeah. So I don't know if you noticed, but before I went around and walked all the way around like that. So just a little tip. I forget what my second tip is.
Don't use this. This space is sacred in the middle.
Yeah, don't use it.
Because the back of your head looks funny on TV.
There's the second tip.
Or the back of whatever.
All right, moving right along, we're in the prepared speech section. We're thrilled that Seth is here. So we have two speakers tonight. I'm going to invite Cindy Traynor up to introduce the first speaker and read the objective. So Cindy Traynor, please captivate us with your presence once again.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests and viewers at home, this is a high-performance leadership manual that James Symington Craig is working on. It's one of the requirements for earning your Distinguished Toastmaster, your DTM. Tonight, what she's going to do is that she has picked a project to perform with this manual. And she's giving her first speech to, I assume, let us know what it's going to be all about. And she's going to get credit for it, but it's also a requirement. She has to give two speeches, one in the beginning before she starts the project, and then one in the end that she'll share with us what she's learned about going through the project that she's chosen. Jean is a longtime member of our club, and she has excelled in evaluation. She's gone to the district level, division level several times, and she's also, you're an area governor right now. So please join me in warmly welcoming Jean Symington Craig.
I'm going to be talking to you tonight about my HPL, which is part of the ALS, on my way to the DTM. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, what did I just say? High Performance Leadership is the HPL. I'm going to talk to you about what that is, where does it fit, where am I in that process, what my project is about, and how I'm working with that, and we're going to be going from there. HPL stands for High Performance Leadership. It is a requirement for the Advanced Leader Bronze, Silver, which is after the Competent Leader, there's a Competent Leader Bronze, and then Silver, which is on the way to becoming a Distinguished Toastmaster, the DTM. What is a high performance leadership? It is a high-level leadership exercise, and it's to build leadership skills. It requires getting a project and executing on a project while developing leadership skills that follow a 6-part model that Toastmasters uses. Vision, values, direction, persuasion, support, development, and recognition. These are the, appreciation. These are the 6 areas. The first project, there are 5 major projects in high performance leadership, and there are assignments, and we march through those as we're doing them. The first assignment involves selecting an advisory committee, reading a lot of material about leadership, and then performing a self-assessment, which I did. Self-assessment that I completed showed me needing some extra, it's to give strengths and also areas of growth. I want to work on direction, which is goal setting. I want to work on appreciation, which is recognition at the end. I also want to work on support, which is the ongoing oversight as the project comes to completion. The second assignment is to determine a vision, a mission, and values, and present a speech on these to you, which is what I'm doing tonight. So the project is, what is the project? It is our January mega recruitment meeting. This is usually our biggest meeting of the year. People have lots of New Year's resolutions, and we're moving on that. My mission, the vision that I have is that we have a very multifaceted event that really incorporates all kinds of people from the community. I'm always saying this is a non-denominational club for everybody at home that's not here. Non-denominational. The more the merrier, the more different and varied. It's like a Joseph's coat of many colors situation. Okay. We want to have, my vision is that we have dozens of new members that are coming here to really take part on the path of what Toastmasters can bring, and that the existing members, along with the new members, feel that confidence that starts to really build, that you then carry over into all other parts of your life, whether it's speaking or not. You are just a confidence-building machine. The mission that I see for this project is to create, publicize, and deliver an outstanding event. The event is going to have a dynamic speaker, it's going to have a very insightful panel, and it's going to give a very appealing overview of the benefits of Toastmaster membership. The attendees will receive information and also see various presentations that will help them to decide to, in fact, become Toastmaster members. The values. The values that I want to incorporate in this project are, number 1, broad-based participation. The more, the merrier. The more hands, the less work for each hand, I guess is what I want to say. Broad-based participation, so we're all going to be getting involved in various ways, and I'll be talking about that a little later in the meeting, actually, when I give you some more details. Secondly is accountability. One of my values is going to be that we're going to be accountable to each other to accomplish this. This is not just me doing this. This is the club turning and presenting to people that are interested in what we do, and also showing value to the community at large. Organization and timeliness. This is a third type of value that I want to have. I really don't want to have people having crunches and failures because of lack of organization, last minute things happening. So I really want to be organized and timely, and I'm going to ask you all to do that. And finally, I just want everybody to have the pride and the fun of being part of a really well synchronized team that's really delivering and putting something out there that is just very fulfilling for everyone that's involved. So those are my values. That was my vision, my mission, my values. In conclusion, we'll be talking more about some specifics here later. I only get 5 to 7 minutes on this, so I talk a little fast, but I am really looking forward to this event, and I'm enjoying this high-performance leadership process. I'm impressed with the materials. I encourage you to take a look at it and see how you can benefit from the leadership elements of it itself. My third assignment is to develop an action strategy and an action team, which I'm already doing, so stay tuned.
I was tuned on you, Jean, not on the fact I had to come up here. Thank you so much. Our next evaluator is Stephen Harper.
Whoop.
Follow the script. I'd like you to now take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. Please finish your last thoughts. Following the script, I'd now like to introduce Stephen Harper, who is going to read the objectives for Seth Braun. So, Stephen?
This seems to be high-performance leadership night. Now we will hear from Seth Braun, who is completing his requirements for the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Seth is a professional speaker, best-selling author, father, husband, and musician. Seth will be sharing his experience of the High Performance Leadership Project, which is one of the final projects for the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Will you please help me welcome Seth?
Thank you, Stephen. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, any guests or new Toastmasters that I haven't met, friends, good to see you all. Inside and outside. Walking across the St. Mary's Project open space with the gardens over on Grimes. People know what I'm talking about here? St. Mary's School. Running in my head is, I haven't done anything on my high performance leadership project for 30 days. I'm stalled out, I got so much to do, I don't know what to do next. I don't even, what the heck? Vision, mission, I don't even remember any of that stuff. Well, I don't know what to do. How many of you have been in a situation like that, can relate to what I'm talking about? Oh. Inside, I'm also having this other voice going, because that's the reality of my life. But inside I have this voice going, I don't need to do an HPL project. I teach this stuff. Leadership, I breathe it. I eat it. I release it. I love leadership. In the next 10 minutes or so, you'll hear about purpose, structure, and the lessons that I learned of the HPL project. And we'll wrap up connecting it back to the outer and the inner of leadership. The purpose, as Jean so eloquently said, I'm working towards my DTM, and one of the requirements is the HPL, which is the High Performance Leadership Project. But the bigger purpose was I wanted to see a professional speakers mastermind group in Fairfield. And for years, literally years, Toastmasters have been saying, yeah, let's do it. Oh, no. Yeah, let's do it. And then someone would move or someone would start and then it wouldn't quite get going. And so finally I said, yes, I'm going to commit. That really relates to one of the lessons that I learned. But the purpose fundamentally was to create a space where people in Fairfield could get together as professional speakers and mastermind around how they could get more paid work so that paid speakers can get paid and keep bringing money back to Fairfield. Because I have this vision of Fairfield having this economy based on thought leaders and sustainability and consciousness and the arts, and really being a small but potent source for knowledge workers and cultural creatives. So people going out, getting paid to speak, bringing the money back. That's probably one of the best things anybody can do for a small town in America right now. So that's what gets me juiced up. That's the motivation, the purpose behind the project. Getting my DTM is going through the motions. It's saying, I've committed to this path, I'm going to follow through. I'm going to show up. So the structure of this process, Gene articulated what it looks like from the beginning. You create a vision, you set goals, and there are certain elements that you get measured on, you do some inventory, and you have a team of people to give you feedback through the process. And this is critical. Meeting with my team consisted of Tom, thank you, Gene, Cindy, and Will Burns. And they met with me 5 times over the course of about 6 months. And they gave me feedback. They helped me to see myself, see different aspects of myself. And this is the real beauty of this process. Getting that feedback from other people around us to help us see things that we might not see about ourselves. So that's the structure. And the lessons. Lesson number 1. I mentioned over here in the purpose, and it's about saying yes. How many of you are engaged with work in some way, where you feel like my work really takes a lot from me, I put a lot into it, I put a lot of energy there, okay? How many of you have a family, where you have to put, like, I gotta put some energy into my family, right? How many of you have a partnership, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance? Got it, right? Like if you don't put energy there, what happens? Bad news. Right? How many of you like to do something to keep your body healthy? Move your body, okay? How many of you go to Toastmasters? Right? 100% on that, I hope. And we could go on and on about what you're interested in. You probably have a meditation practice, many of you, or you have a spiritual practice, many of you, or you have a church that you belong to, or you commit to a civic engagement or other civic clubs. You have hobbies, you have interests. So you're busy. Raise your hand if you're busy. I'm busy. I have 2 kids. I have a 19-year-old senior boarding student from China. I have a dog who needs 2 hours of exercise a day. I have chickens. I have a garden that I'm still harvesting kale from. I have a business that I run with employees now, thank God. I had the best month of my career in November. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. I'm speaking literally across the country. I have a coaching program with 20 people in it. I have 7 private VIP clients. I sell my book. I am busy. I'm recording an album in June. What the heck? So when it came time, I looked at the project and I said, I have this vision. I'd like to see this happen. And there's all this energy going like, I don't know if I could do it. Maybe I could do it. So if I just said yes, I'm going to do it. And there's something that happens when we say at 100% yes to something. It becomes easier. Because when I'm committed 99% to something, it's a struggle. But when I'm committed 100% to something, it's difficult, but it's not a struggle. If anybody that's been married, you understand what I'm talking about. So that's the first lesson. Saying yes and just throwing myself in the ring, and I'm going to fight this fight. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to dance this dance. Second lesson. Support. Getting support. So when I'm walking across the public space at the St. Mary's Project and the mind is spinning, I don't know what to do. I said, well, I know what to do, actually. I can call Tom Trainer and say, I don't know what to do. And just take that one next step, which is exactly what Tom said. I called him up and he said, well, what's the one next step you need to do in this project? And I said, well, I need to schedule a meeting with everybody in it. I don't know what we're going to do at the meeting, but I guess I'll figure it out between now and the meeting. And just being able to make a call to somebody. Having a support team in life, having a support team for a project, having a support team for your goals, critical. So if you don't have that for your life, you need to have it. And it rings true for the rest of my life. And the third thing that I learned is, well, I haven't learned this lesson. I'm studying this lesson because I don't know that you can ever actually have a handle on this lesson. And this is when to pivot and change direction, and when to persist and keep going. Persistence and perseverance are similar words that mean to continue on in spite of obstacles. To pivot means to change course, change direction, adapt. And in this project, I set out to create the Advanced Toastmasters Club for professional speakers. And I pivoted recently because we had professional speakers showing up on the second Wednesday at noon, by the way, if you'd like to come. Second Wednesday at noon at Centerpoint Financial. And third Wednesday at 7:30 right here. No, at Birchinowski's, we changed the location. And we have these people showing up. It's working. Last month we had 2 people come to our professional group and get critiqued. They weren't members. One was Lonnie Gamble, and the other one was Karen Ioki, who was a member of our Golden Speakers Club, because Karen was speaking at the TEDx Women, and Lonnie was going to audition for, guess what? The great courses. You know, you look at The Economist and it says, oh, the great courses, learn about the history of Mesoamerican civilization, or learn German, or the great courses, this kind of prestigious gig. He's going to audition for 30 minutes and he needs a place to practice. He came to our advanced club. This is really cool. It's providing a tangible benefit to our community in getting someone to get paid as a speaker and bring that money back and distribute it through our community. It's working. However, what wasn't working is nobody wants to go to officer training. Nobody wants to pay dues. People don't really want to be a member of 2 clubs who aren't already a member of this club, because that's one of the requirements for an advanced club, is you have to be a member of a Toastmasters club. So as the leader, I had to pivot and say, okay, we're not going to keep this advanced club charter. We're going to have an extension of Golden Speakers. It's going to be tied in, but it's not going to be its own club, so we don't have to deal with the logistics. So in review, you've heard a little bit about the purpose and about the structure and about some of the lessons that I've learned. The lessons are saying yes, just committing and following through, getting support when you fall down, because I fall down quite a bit and I need help, and then knowing when to pivot and when to persist. In wrapping up, in preparing for this, I wrote my outline for this talk while my daughter was performing at MSAE. Tonight. And I'm at the point now in my speaking where the key is just keep showing up. The key for leadership in this case is to show up and just go through the process. The process is so important because in the process, something happens at a deeper level of identity, soul maybe even, that allows one to grow. That's the outer game. The inner game is the humility to say, yeah, I do teach this stuff, but boy, I have a lot to learn. And to be willing to listen to Jean and Tom and Cindy and Will when they gave me feedback through this. And I thank you all very much. Yo!
Please take 2 minutes and evaluate Seth's speech. Welcome back. Finish up your last of your comments, and now we're moving into the evaluation section.
We need to vote. Would we like to vote?
Please vote for the best speaker. Did both speakers qualify for it?
Those speakers qualify.
And those speakers are Seth and Jean Simonton Craig.
Yay.
Now I'd like to introduce the general evaluator, Rick Starr, that will run the evaluation section of the meeting. Rick.
Yo!
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. We'll start off the evaluation section with an evaluation of speech 1, Jean's speech, and I'd like to introduce Cindy Trainer.
Yo!
Aha. High performance leadership. Thank you, Jean, for taking on one heck of a project. One that'll have a great impact on this club, that's for sure. And hopefully it will, underlined, will pull everyone in this club together, and everyone will learn a lot of skills from Jean and much about themselves. The evaluation guide for sharing her vision is for Jean to outline what she's going to do with her project, and also to show what she would like to accomplish, and do it in a manner that generates interest and enthusiasm in the audience. Now, did anyone pick up the enthusiasm that Jean had for her topic and for what she's going to take on? How effectively did Jean describe her vision? And she chose 3 words from her mission statement and defined those. She effectively conveyed the importance of the vision and the impact that it would have on our club. And I liked how you used a lot of word pictures, Jean, to do that, such as Joseph's coats of many colors, and this is a non-denominational club. Her vision was shared in a very positive manner, in that she really laid out what the club could gain in her performing this HPLC. And what I really liked is that you opened in the beginning and you threw out all this jargon, HPLC, ALS, and DTM, and everybody's, and people are like, what? And the terms and the jargon that you did use, you made sure that you defined all of them for us, so nobody was left in the dark. At least that's how it came across to me. So in the end, in closing, it says a vision should be communicated persuasively to listeners so they will embrace it as their own. And so as a listener, how persuasive was your speech? It was very persuasive for me. And if I had the opportunity, would I want to assist in the leader in making this vision a reality? And my answer is yes. Take me, I'm yours. Okay, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Cindy. Now I'd like to introduce Stephen to evaluate Seth's speech.
Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, Seth, thank you for a thoroughly entertaining, incredibly informative, fun, humorous, and delightful discussion, speech about your DTM, whatever that stands for. Distinguished Toastmaster Award. I thought this speech was brilliantly organized, which is amazing to hear you say that you did it only a few minutes before actually getting here. First of all, you started out by introducing the theme of the inner game and the outer game. You used the stage to separate those by moving from one side to the other, brilliant use of the stage. And you kept that thread going and brought it back at the end to that to that theme and tied it all in. Actually, I was beginning to wonder, what did the introduction have to do with all of this? And then just when I was wondering that, you came right back to that theme. So that was great. You started with this personal story that made us relate to you personally. We could really identify with your procrastination. You're being very honest and using humor about your self-confidence, your overconfidence is what I mean. And because we could all relate to that. We've all been there, all done that. And that authenticity really drew us in and made us feel very much that we could relate to you and understand you, and that you weren't putting yourself on a pedestal, and yet at the same time you have such a naturally flowing personality that it's just a pleasure to hear you to speak. You then stated that what we will hear, and you said you'll hear these lessons, and then later you got to the lessons. First you told us your goal, very clearly, goal statement, and then a clear purpose statement. That was very good also. The goal being the creation of the Mastermind Speakers Group, and the goal to get more paid work to benefit the community and benefit the community culturally and spiritually as well as economically, and very laudable service, which is it brings out that value that we all aspire to, but some of us don't feel that we do very much of. Anyway, I guess I'm just speaking for myself. The lessons you told were very deep and authentic, I thought. You talked about commitment, the value of commitment. You can't talk about that enough. Creating the support team. And then I really like some of the gestures you used. The knife hand, when you were really, to demonstrate your commitment. I thought that was great. And then the pivoting, and you used, okay, this is pivoting, and then this is changing direction. It was, that really excellent use of gestures. For suggestions, I just wonder how brilliant this could be if you'd actually had a day to practice it. Because I did think that the introduction could have been, run a little smoother, a little slicker, a little more polished, sure, and woven it back in maybe one or two more times before you got to the end, so you kept that theme lively throughout the speech. Other than that, I thought it was fantastic. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you, Stephen. Mr. Timer, could you tell us if all three evaluators qualify?
I can tell you almost all three. I blew it with the tabletop evaluator, Dan. I am pretty sure he was under time, but I forgot to write down the time that he had.
He qualified.
That's right, so he did not qualify, therefore.
Yeah.
He's an improver.
So who are we voting? It's good enough for us.
Good enough.
So all three evaluators qualified. So let's take a couple of minutes to vote for best evaluator. Welcome back. Now for our reports, I'd like to call on Art to give the timer's report.
The timer's partial report is table topics: Steve Harper 2 minutes 25, Cindy Traynor 2 minutes 28, Carol Negro 2 minutes 32. Carol, it was only 2 seconds. Prepared speeches: Jean 6 minutes 30 seconds, Seth 12 minutes 7 seconds. Table topics evaluator Dan, he qualified. Speech evaluator Cindy 3 minutes 9 seconds, Steve Harper 3 minutes 24. That's my report.
Nice.
Yo.
I'd like to call on Jeff to give the counter report.
Thank you, Rick.
Yay, Jeff.
Yay, Jeff. Fellow Toastmasters, here's my report. I'd like to think it's exhaustive, but I may have missed something, so you might want to rewatch the tape. If you do not hear your name called, that means I did not catch anything. Diane, I give you 3 uhs. Carol, 3 uhs, 1 2 ands, a tongue click, and a repeat. Dan, 2 uhs, 1 so, 1 tongue click. Surya, 2 uhs, 1 so. Stephen, you're the winner tonight, but it's kind of inflated because you gave some very impressive speeches, so don't let these numbers detract from your accomplishments tonight. You get 24 uhs, 6 ums, 40 no's, 1 so, 5 ands, 5 tongue clicks, and 3 repeats. It's not as bad as you think. Your message was delivered very well.
You blended them in well.
Cindy, yeah, you're talking very fast. Cindy, 1 so, 3 ands, 2 tongue clicks. Jean, where is she? Jean, I felt that a more casual odd counter would have missed these and give you a clean slate, but I gave you 2 mms, 1 you know, and 2 tongue clicks, and there's 3 throat clears that I felt impelled to include on this report. Seth Braun, I gave you 3.5 tongue clicks. And that concludes my report.
Carol, would you please give the grammarian's report?
To be perfectly honest, this being my first time in this role, it was pretty difficult because growing up, grammar was a weak point in my speaking, in my speech, and in analyzing different people's presentations. But I really didn't, in everybody's speeches, I didn't hear any major errors. No one used my word captivate.
Oh, I did one.
Two did.
Someone did?
Yeah, couple did.
Captivate.
Did I miss it?
Captivate was.
I meant to use it once.
Okay, then I missed it. Anyway, it's a learning role for me, so it's a beginning. Cool.
I'd like to call on our joke master, Mahesh, who will come and make us laugh.
All right, we did.
Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I'd like to tell you a joke about a topic that I'm very familiar with, and that's death. So, I want to tell you about the death of, I always forget this guy's name. Somebody can help me out here. It's a movie about this guy in the South, kind of a slow guy. Forrest Gump. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How could you forget?
How could, I don't know. So Forrest Gump dies, and he goes up to heaven. And he's just walking right up to the pearly gates, and he's about to walk in. And St. Peter says, "Well, hi, Forrest. How you doing?" Forrest goes, "Well, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine." He goes, "Well, Forrest, you can't just waltz right into heaven anymore." He goes, "You can't." He goes, "No, it's getting crowded up here. It's getting very crowded. And you got to pass a test." He goes, "A test? I ain't heard nothing about no test before." So St. Peter says, "Well, Forrest, in your case, we're going to give you 3 questions, and we're going to give them all to you in advance. And you can take as long as you want to think about them. And when you're ready, you just come right on back to me and give me the answer." Mr. Forrest says, "Well, I guess so." So he goes, "Forrest, the first question is, what 2 days of the week start with T?" And he says, "Forrest, the second question is, how many seconds are there in a year? And the third question is, what's God's name?" Forrest kind of scratching his head. He goes, okay, I'll come back. So he just walks right off. Well, 3 or 4 days go by, and Forrest comes on back, and St. Peter says, well, Forrest, glad to see you, ready to answer those questions. And Forrest says, well, I guess so. He goes, okay, well, Forrest, you remember the first question? What 2 days of the week start with T? And Forrest said, well, I thought about that, and that was pretty easy. That'd be today and tomorrow. St. Peter's just sort of like scratches his head and he says, well, that's not exactly what we had in mind for us, but we're going to have to give you that one.
Heck yeah.
So then he says, Forrest, how many seconds are there in a year? Forrest said, well, that was a little more difficult. He said, I thought about it, and I thought about it, and thought about it, and then it dawned on me. It'd be 12 seconds. St. Peter's goes, 12 seconds, Forrest? 12 seconds? Forrest goes, yeah, there's January, February, March. So, goes, Forrest, that's not exactly what we had in mind, but we're going to have to give you that. Says, okay, Forrest, what's God's name? And Forrest says, that was easy. That'd be Howard. And St. Peter says, Howard, Forrest? Howard? And Forrest goes, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Very good. So now's the time to evaluate the evaluators. And we had 3 evaluators tonight. All of them good and all of them very different types of evaluations. So I'll go chronologically. I'll start with Dan. And Dan gave a very good evaluation. He came out to the front of the podium and took a good position there. The evaluation of all 3 table topic speakers were very structured. Dan started out with a comment about the nature of each speech, and also he took the time to congratulate Carol on her first table topic speech. Dan then gave the strong points, the things the speakers did well, and he gave 1 or 2 suggestions for each speaker. So it was very logical, very well laid out. Dan has a very pleasant, easy to listen to voice and a nice smile while he's up there. It gives a very compelling speech that way. Another positive was Dan, when he suggested, I forget which speaker, that they use more stage movement. He demonstrated that with some stage movement. Dan's gestures were also very good. If I had a suggestion, it would be to use more stage movement, perhaps position yourself in different points on the stage for each speaker. That's the suggestion I would have. Cindy also gave a very good evaluation. Cindy used the manual, went through all the points in the manual, which is a good thing to do. That way you're sure that the speaker accomplished all the goals of the speech. Cindy, again, moved in front of the podium, had a very good presence. Cindy also had very good gestures. Cindy always has good theatrical, dramatic, entertaining gestures, which I enjoyed very much. And I thought it was a very good evaluation. A suggestion is maybe a little more vocal variety. There was some, a little low energy tonight, but that would be my suggestion. Stephen, very high energy, enthusiastic evaluation. Your energy level and your vocal variety matched your praise for Seth's speech. You were very observant. You pointed out a lot of things that Seth did well. You also pointed one or two areas for improvement. And again, I'd say your energy and your movement and your gestures match the high level of your speech. A suggestion for you, Stephen, would be to follow the manual and to check off the points in the manual. I'd like to turn it over to our Toastmaster, Diane.
Yo! Thank you. It's time for the awards. Drum roll, please. For the best table topics, Cindy Traynor.
Yo!
Thank you. A little photo up here.
Yo!
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Drum roll, please. While you're drum rolling, paper. Thank you. For our best evaluator, Stephen Hopper.
Yo!
Thank you, Stephen. I don't know, I'm a little something up tonight. Hang on 1 second. Okay, I got it. Drum roll, please. For best speaker, Seth Braun. Seth Braun. I'm finished for the evening. Thank you so much. And I'm going to invite up our president, Rhonda Whitaker. Rhonda?
Yo!
Thank you, Diane, for conducting the meeting and the process. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We are at 9:01. This is record time for us. I have Jean down here as speaking with club business next. And this will be our special event organization information from Jean. Please help me welcome Jean Sanderson Craig back up.
All right, this is the project in more detail. I'm just going to give you a lot of things. I'm going to talk to you about people that are already have agreed to do things. I just want you to get the lay of the land. And then, if you are not identified in this yet, and you feel an affinity towards something that's being brought out, please talk to that person. Okay. The project is a January event. Our guest speaker is going to be Louis Denbaum. Louis is a professional speaker himself, legal, accounting background. I didn't know he was a CPA. Anyway, speaking to corporations on communication, pretty excited to have him. He's really going to do a bang-up job. So that's our keynote person. Publicity. This is the action team. So you guys, I haven't called you that yet, but that's what you are. Okay. And we're going to I'm going to ask those of you that are here next week, really see the timing's a little bit speeded up because next week, the 17th, is our last meeting until January 7th. So all of a sudden, we're just zooming through because we don't have the last 2 Tuesdays in December because of where they're falling in the holidays. So we're moving a little quickly, and again, but one of my goals is to have us not have a big crunch and a big problem. So the publicity outreach, I just want you to understand that. So the Fairfield Weekly Reader is a big place for us. We usually get a lot of people from that. Jeff Shipley, our VP of PR, is going to be delivering 2 types of materials to that. He's going to be delivering a graphic poster that's going to go on the poster page on the back for the 2 Thursdays prior to our event, which is going to be on the 28th of January. You want to make sure you've got that, you're tracking, because you're also all going to be working to bring people to that. He's also going to be delivering an article that will be written mostly by Lewis. I'm putting it to Lewis. We've had a number of conversations already with his background and his credentials and what his talk is going to be about. And then Jeff is going to put in the final pieces about Toastmasters and the date, the time, and the place. And oh, the free refreshments. Never underestimate free refreshments. We'll look at that and we'll get that. And that's all going to go in. And we want all that in by the 10th of January. So next week, on the 17th, what I'd like is, so I've got Jeff, I've got Surya, John Loros, I'm going to do Dan. Anyway, I'd like to have an action team, if you're here, discussion, so we can really, it won't take very long, but we make sure we're clear on what we're doing and what's needed and stuff. Where's all this graphic stuff coming from? Surya, I caught somewhere in the last couple of weeks about his background. He was a graphic designer. I went, oh, right. So he is, how's that for vocal variety? Oh, right.
That's pretty good.
So, I get excited. Surya is going to be preparing the poster digitally for the Fairfield Weekly Reader, for the back. He's also going to be preparing to specs a graphic poster that John Loros from Frontline Printing is going to be printing for us at no charge, which is really nice. Great example. So that's going to be some communication with you, Surya.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so then there's going to be, what'd you say? What?
He said there it is again.
Yeah, well,
Same thing with your mouth.
I guess that is like a little bit of a filler.
That's what we
thing,
got.
isn't it? It's a filler thing.
That's what we're here for.
It's a closed mouth,
A nasal filler.
It's a closed mouth, it's got to be better than an open mouth,
It is, it's better.
All right, so I'm hearing from the peanut gallery here, it is better. It is better, but it's like still, okay.
Still a filler. It is better.
It's a vocal variety.
And this is stabilizing my lipstick, I just want you to know. It's like a lip smack. All right, okay, so that is Fairfield Weekly Reader, that is graphics, that is posters that we're going to all have by I believe the 14th is when we want to have, and that's where you all are going to be getting posters, and we're going to make sure those are out and about in the community. We're also going to have another type of PR is going to be a video that's going to be put into a Facebook event that Jeff is going to create. The video is going to be Lewis and Alex, who's not here right now, but Alex has agreed to prompt Lewis and just answer any questions. Lewis is prepared to do a video, and that video is going to be embedded in the Facebook event. It's also going to be given to Tom. Tom, you'll be at the meeting next week. So Tom will be making sure that video also goes to FPAC, which is the Fairfield Public Access Channel, which is always playing us. For those of you out there that watch, we so appreciate your interest in what we do, and that'll be played around our meeting. What do you call it? Broadcasts. So we're going to get a lot of
An advertisement.
An advertisement. Okay, so that's going to happen there. There it is. It kind of keeps my neurons. Yeah, I don't know if you get to a certain age, your neurons start to like flatten out and the humming sort of.
Absolutely.
You can always go back to that.
That's good.
Yeah, not that I'm that age, of course. All right. Then there's radio. Dan, you'll be at the meeting next week?
I'll try to make it.
All right, thank you. Dan is going to be the radio interface. He already has connections with radio personalities, and he's going to get Lewis on a Cheryl Johnson KRUU interview show. What?
KMCD, and it's late.
I'm sorry, it's good. There's plenty of time. Okay, oh, you guys. Listen, I am taking time that I would have taken on the 24th and the 31st. I'm just condensing. All right, so that's it. Those are some of the key pieces. The title, the working title right now is 3 communication must-haves, but we're kind of playing with that a little bit, and it's small, Tom.
A little bit smaller.
No, that's like, okay, so that's pretty daggone small, 3 words. Must-haves with a hyphen, that's 3, that's 1 word. Okay, this will be a discussion offline. But anyway, so that's it. Next week, Stephen, you're not in this. Jeff, Surya, Dan, and Tom, at least next week, maybe right after the meeting we can talk. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this weekend we have training for our leadership. This Saturday, there will be 4 leaders going to training in Des Moines. We have Dan, myself, Jeff, and we are deciding Cindy and perhaps Monty. I have to talk to Monty.
That's important.
Yes.
We won't miss it this year.
No, we've got it
Get
covered
it.
this year.
I tried to miss it, but my prior engagement fell through.
Yay!
Yay!
Who cares about politics? All right, we have our own politics to cover. I'd like to ask if there's anything else tonight that anyone would like to
30
bring
seconds.
up. 3,
She already had 3 minutes.
okay, arm wrestle for it.
Are you serious?
Come on.
Okay, quick 30 seconds. The Advance Club, Wednesdays, second Wednesday of the month, 12 o'clock, Center Point, 505 corner of north corner of Low and 4th. 505 Low, I think it is. East entrance, Center Point. It's great if you want to talk about marketing, sales, that side of the professional speaking. Third Wednesday of the month, 7:30, Bert Janowski's house. Stephanie Chambers is the person who manages the logistics. Come, it's just it's Toastmasters, but more casual and focused on professional speaking. It's a really great group of people.
Where is that?
Bert
Send an
Janowski's house.
Send an email.
Yeah, just send an email to,
All members.
yeah. And this is a lectern, just by the way.
Yeah.
This is a lectern. So once you get into the professional world, you want to know this is a lectern. We don't have a podium. A podium
Yes, we
is
do.
a
A
podium
lectern
is
sits on a
yeah,
podium.
but we don't have a podium.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Anywhere a lectern sits on a
okay.
podium.
We won't get into that.
A podium is wherever your feet are.
Yes, pods. The pods are on the
So we
podium.
always have a podium if you want us to
TV
record.
personality speaking.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, just-
I stand corrected.
You are correct.
I'd like to,
Stand on the podium.
People go,
Wait.
Jean, again.
I just want to say that
they call it a podium.
this training on Saturday, there is another club that has completed, correct? Has completed all of the DCP stuff.
Calls.
So we are down to the wire, and I just want you to know, this is not random, that this all has to have, the membership, the whole, that's all has to be done by Saturday if we want to be in the running for the lectern.
the lectern is a very special lectern. It's called a traveling lectern, and it weighs about 10 times as much as this one. It has all these plaques on the front and credits. It's a very beautiful piece of furniture, and we would like to have it.
We had it for 7 years in a row.
That's right.
Now, I would like to ask our guest, Annette, if she has anything she'd like to say about the meeting tonight.
I just really enjoyed it with you, or the answer to my prayers. I'm coming if I can find it. Okay?
She needs the information.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to do that, but I've got to join this first, and I intend to. Not in December, because I just can't take on
Right.
anything new right now with the holidays.
yeah.
But
That's
in
good.
January, I want to.
That sounds good.
Start
Thank
going
you.
along.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Annette. That's good news. Let's give her a hand. Oh, thank you for bringing those back. Sally, do you have anything you would like to?
Just a brief suggestion. As a guest, until I can get my membership together, for all the Tuesdays I've been coming, I've noticed that the grammarian always chooses a great word, phrase, definitions, and very few people ever use it. Is it possible to put the board out here, where when we're speaking we can remember, because it's behind the speaker? If you put the board out here, when we're speaking, we can see it, and we might remember and use the word more often.
What a great suggestion.
That's a good idea, so for those of us who can't remember.
I have a question just for down the road.
Yes?
Do y'all have it set up to where if you wanted to give a PowerPoint presentation,
Yes, we own
Yes.
one.
you do that? Good.
Your computer, our PowerPoint.
Projector.
Projector.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I will not be here next week. Will, our immediate past president, will be handling the president's position next Tuesday. And I'm leaving on Tuesday, so if you have anything you need to talk to me about between now and then, please email me. I'd like to have Dan and Jeff stay after for just a minute so that we can arrange our ride to Des Moines. And for the rest of you folks, thank you for coming. You made it a delightful evening.
Clean up.
Thank you, Rhonda.
I'm about to say that. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I could forget. Now, please stay and help put the chairs back. We need 4 rows by 5 chairs. Thank you. We're adjourned until next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., same place.